Well, everybody, welcome to Salt Talk with Jermaine Alberty. This is a special episode with a guest that you've heard from in the past, my dear brother, my dear friend, Antoine Roston. 8 years ago, tragedy knocked on the door of a faithful friend, faithful servant to this community. And what could have ended in defeat ended in victory. And so I am honored to have my friend here joining me because he took this journey of trauma and turned it to triumph. And it continues to inspire me and those around who he shares his story with. I want to be really clear that this episode is not about violence, but it's about victory. And it's about what happens when a man of faith refuses to quit and when healing becomes a ministry of its own. Sometimes the hardest miracles are the ones that begin in pain. And so I want to welcome my brother, my friend, Antoine, to the Salt Talk.
Hey, what's up, Jermaine?
Hey, man, this is always good. You posted a video this evening, sometime today, on Facebook, and I was like, man, we need to do a podcast. And so it's one of those impromptu interviews I'm glad you agreed to do. And I gave you a series of questions. We're going to just have a conversation. People love the last podcast we did with you and Janice Green. They loved that podcast. They said, man, it was just three friends just talking. I was like, it was three friends just talking.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's authentic.
Yeah, very authentic. And I think a lot of people, when they talk to us, being, men of faith, sometimes they have this expectations that we're supposed to be superhuman
hmm
and not get upset and you know, not have issues. I feel like that's the expectation. But I really want to know, tell us about your physical and your emotional recovery and what surprised you in this process. I mean, today we was talking 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, you were shot, and here we are today.
hmm Um, well, it's been quite the journey, if you would. A lot of I'm still healing,
Yeah.
just emotionally and my physical ailments. One was my speech because I got shot through the face, which those bullets went through my tongue,
Mm.
which affected how I spoke. And now um, I listen to my own playbacks and I hear my previous voice that I didn't like no way. But I was always recording or doing something on TV or radio. I've worked my way back to that, and sometimes you may even hear it tonight a little bit, especially when I begin to get emotional. So there's always the emotional part of the damage. There is the nerve damage that I have, but like I'm about to try out for a couple more bands, man. So I'm taking my craft, my gifting, if you will.
So you was talking about gigs just a moment ago in your craft, and it really is a good segue because part of your recovery journey was something that you started doing much younger in life, and that was playing drums. And like I said, I have said to you before, I think that you ought to talk about how music therapy really like took your physical strength. You basically gained physical strength by playing drums. Um, talk about how music and playing the drums have been healing for you. Because
Yeah,
you in love with drums, we know that.
probably more now than I ever have. But um, with my nerve injury, so my brachial plexus was damaged, which controls and dictates how you use your at least your arms. I don't know about anything else. So I got shot on the left side, and that was damaged, impaired my left arm usage, which uh, for you know for all my life up to that point, I never had a problem with my left arm. So I was literally paralyzed. Like I could not lift my arm and wave. I couldn't wave at you with my left arm.
Mm,
Uh, I could use it for my rotator cuff, my
mm,
shoulder, but I couldn't like lift it from my elbow up. I couldn't curl my arm. I certainly had no control to swing a stick.
mm,
So like how I kept myself motivated was just trying. I would just be in my basement playing, and I learned how to take my left arm, my left leg, put my arm on my left leg, and throw it up and try to let my arm fall on beat. That's how I was playing.
mm,
And that worked, and I just like had a voice in me that just said, "Keep doing it. Just
mm,
don't stop playing. Just keep
mm.
doing it." And I just kept doing it, and I kept going to physical therapy, which was like 2 years. And one day I could actually swing the stick. I could control my arm, and so sometimes people, even just last night when I was playing, I was just thinking like, what in the world? I'm like up here just like playing. I am ghost noting, and you have to have touch to do that. I'm like I'm doing stuff that I didn't even know the terminologies for before, but I got so engaged into this craft that I know what it is now. And it's like, well, I couldn't do this at all just like 4 years ago, really. I mean, just 4 years ago. So it's like the drive to want to play
Yeah.
just kept me going. It just kept me going to the place where I was going to hear live music, and I was like, "Man, I can do that. I can do that." And somebody said, "Well, why don't you?"
Mm,
so, so I started looking for opportunities and found some opportunities and played a lot last year, and now I'm becoming one of the guys that's like, man, you're really good, and you've gotten better since I met you. I'm like, wow, that's an honor. But I am driven just because I almost lost it, literally.
yeah.
Like I could have just literally just been like, I'm paralyzed. I was being told, just hang it up, get disability. You can get disability. And I read and understood that if I got disability, I was gonna be disabled in my pocket too.
Yeah.
They're gonna give up a lot of what I own, a lot of what I had, my autonomy, all that stuff. And it just wasn't worth it. So I had a drive to play, to live, to continue to be an experience and have what I had been blessed to have.
Yeah. I wanted to do this podcast tonight because I think so many times when we have these dramatic events in life and these anniversaries come, we can do two things. We can get stuck in the morass of, oh, woe is me,
Hmm.
or we can celebrate and look at, man, look how far I've come from that moment.
Oh,
And, healing is never a straight line. It's more like a river, winding and deep, but always moving toward restoration.
oh,
And I'm grateful that 8 years later, as you said, you're still healing, but so grateful that you're not where you was, 8 years ago, where you basically was told, hey, just throw in the towel. And you said, no, I ain't gonna throw in the towel, I'm gonna pick up the towel.
yeah, the doctor really told me that when we did the test, the nerve test and everything, she said you probably will be paralyzed in your left arm for the rest of your life. There's
Mm,
nothing that we can do.
mm.
And I was just like,
Wow.
what? Like nothing? And,
Wow.
and I had a physical therapy appointment afterwards, and I love my therapist, Stacy. She was just so dope. Like, we
Mhm.
became friends. And I went and talked to Stacy, and before we got to work, she just let me just talk and cry. Because I cried. The doctor said that you gonna be paralyzed. And so, you hear in church and things, um, whose report will you believe? And
Mm.
all these different things, and can't believe I don't believe what the doctor said. I believe what Doctor Jesus said. Whatever. You just like, okay, what are these people talking about, man? But until you really had the experience, well, a doctor tell you that something is impossible.
Mhm.
That this is the best it's going to be for you. And
Mhm.
I understand that doctors are not designed to give you hope. They have to give you the worst of the news, right? Because if they give you a quote unquote false hope and it doesn't happen, you technically can sue them. So they do what they have to do to protect themselves. But when I heard that, man, I cried, I did my thing, and she said, "What do you want to do, buddy?" I said, "Let's work. Let's work."
What do you want to do?
Hmm.
Less work. You know, I love a good segue. After 8 years, what has this journey taught you about life and purpose?
Man, depending on the day of the week, some days I don't have a clue.
Hmm.
Um, Other days, when I think about what I've gone through, and I believe that 99.2% of what happens to you and your outcome has everything to do about your attitude,
Mm.
your want to, your how to, and your going to.
Hmm.
Mother Nelson used because I was a kid that they would say I had a bad attitude, right? So I was angry a lot. I had my reasons, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah.
But she would always say, this is stuck with me. Your attitude determines your altitude, right? So I think that that's true in everything in life. Your attitude about whatever it is you're dealing with determines your altitude and your outcome. And so I chose to take a positive road and drive to get where I am today and to continue to go where I'm going tomorrow. Like, it's not clear, right? Like, before I got shot, I understood that even though I wasn't pastoring at the time, that I was Antoine Roston Sr, the man of God, the husband, the father, the community worker, all this and that. And after I got shot, I was just, I had that surgeons, right? Right. It's like I survived. God saved me for a reason, and I know what it is. It's to preach the gospel. It's to go out into all this or whatever. And then that wave just crashed on the beach, and it was like, wait a minute, slow down. You can't even talk. Okay,
Mm.
that's one thing. Second,
Mm.
um, why are you doing this? Are you doing this out of purpose, or are you doing this out of emotion,
Hmm. Hmm.
out of a sense of loss? So I was lost.
Wow.
I was, whew, I was, whew, damn, man. I was lost without definition
Hmm.
because I had more questions.
Hmm.
I didn't understand why this had to happen to me.
Yeah.
Why, um, how, even when I got shot, man, I'm crawling on all fours,
Mm.
right? I'm crawling on all fours and I'm having a discussion with God. And I said, is this how it ends for me? and I start recounting my life. I was like, I've lived for you, I've served you,
Hmm.
done anything to deserve this. I was like, I can't die. Like I got a graduation to go to. I just told my daughter I was gonna teach her how to drive.
Hmm.
I don't think my wife is ready for me to be gone. I mean, even though she's responsible with money and things of that nature. And I'm like, well, maybe this is why I have so much money in life
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah. Hmm.
I was like, but like I live for you. I can't die like this. And then I heard in my spirit that this wasn't unto death.
Mm.
So I had peace and I was able to calm down and not go through an anxiety or anything like that. But yeah. So I hear people talk about stories of angels
Hmm.
and seeing Jesus and angels, and I didn't have none of that.
Mm.
So that was a question. So it's like,
Mm.
well, what's why didn't I have that experience? I've prophesied. I've seen into the future. I've seen people's lives. Why didn't I see the angel and see Jesus and all this or whatever? So it just left me with more questions, right? So
Hmm.
uh, do I know my purpose? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I have one because I'm here. Um, I have had one-on-ones with people.
Hmm.
Uh, I was able to talk to some young people. I was able to maybe save some lives. I've been able to, unfortunately, bury younger people. Which, survival guilt is real.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was really real and hard. So then I have to go back and ask more questions. Why did you let me survive? My kids had me for 12 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20, 18 years, whatever the ages were. I think actually it was 12, 16, yeah, 12, 16, and 18 or something like that. And and uh and my kids had me, and these young men died with toddlers, babies that was just born. They never know their father. They only hear stories about them, and so you're dealing with that, And then I'm like, why is everybody calling me for funerals? I mean, I do other things. But yeah, it was quite the experience. So I still struggle with what my purpose is, or all that. But when you can have that one-on-one conversation, like once I talked to an atheist and I was sharing my story, and she said, I don't believe in God, but even I have to acknowledge nothing but a God could
Mm.
have saved you in that moment.
Wow.
You know, or just how people might be complaining about something. Because I've had customers get in my car complaining, and I tell them, if you didn't get shot today, you probably had a good day.
Mm.
Stop being shot, and it wasn't a very good year after that. One of
Hmm.
2 years after that, and people be like, okay,
Yeah.
perspective, you
Yeah.
know, right? So, however, I can use my experience to impact uh, someone, young, old, indifferent, whatever, to make somebody think, to make somebody understand that you don't understand the plight people have experienced in life. You never know what people experience, because the other problem with my injuries is that though they really happen, I don't really look like what I've been through whatsoever. Some would say I actually look better after getting shot. but but I don't look like I got shot through the face, and no one
Right.
would know that I experienced what I experienced unless I open up my mouth to tell them. I mean, we were in Belize, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sharing my story in Belize with the masseuses and things, and they were just like, wow, like amazed though. The one therapist was able to use me as a teaching moment.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I didn't feel like I was a guinea pig or being disrespected, I saw it as like being honored,
Hmm.
and she was caring for me. Like I really want to go back just for a cotton picking massage, real, right? It's like but those young ladies was able to learn something so that maybe the next customer or clients that come in that's had some similar experience, they don't know what to do because they had an interaction with me, you know? So your purpose sometimes isn't always what you think, right? Sometimes it's greater, and I think it's become greater
Yeah.
what I limited it to before.
I think that what people fail to realize is that our callings often evolve based upon our lived experience.
Absolutely.
And there are two human experiences that are often intertwined, and those are pain and hope. And there's a sacred tension between pain and hope. Pain often reminds us that we are alive, that we are vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're deeply human. And
Right.
so I've experienced, loss. I've experienced disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced the weight of unmet expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And when you experience that kind of pain, it can isolate you. It can make you sometimes feel like you're just suspended in sorrow. Um, and then what I realized though is, as I was telling a friend today, hope is my currency.
Mm-hmm.
If I run out of hope, I'm a poor man.
Yeah, that's real.
So, because within that pain lies an invitation for me to often just pause and to feel that, you're feeling this pain right now, but there is a tomorrow.
Right.
There is a
Yeah.
tomorrow. And so I read somewhere that hope is pain's quiet companion.
Mm.
It whispers through the cracks of despair, insisting that what is broken can be healed.
Mm-hmm.
What is dark can be illuminated, and what is lost can be transformed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I know is that while hope and faith are intertwined with one another, just because you have hope, it doesn't erase the pain that you have experienced. But what it
No.
can do is it can redeem it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can often help us reinterpret our suffering as preparation for growth,
Mm-hmm.
compassion, and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, uh, with that being said, my question to you is, how can others walk in hope even when their story still carries scars? Because you still carry the scars of your wounds.
Mm-hmm.
You still have a bullet enlarged in your shoulder, I believe, or in your back area.
It's in my back.
Uh, and so you still have the scars, but I was just doing some research about different awareness days in the month of October. And what I didn't realize was is that October is also this month is celebrated Invisible Wounds Awareness. Invisible Disabilities is what it was. Invisible Disability Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. I know so many people who have invisible disabilities that people would never know.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be like, what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Only knew. If I
Mm-hmm.
took off my shirt, if you only knew. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you was there at midnight and my body's aching, I have neuropathy and I can't even get up, if you only knew. And
Mm-hmm.
so, how can others walk in hope even when their story still carries those scars? Is the question I want to ask you as we wrap up this interview. And then I want you to share any final remarks you have. But I will really love to hear from you from that question. Once again, how can others walk in hope even when their story still carries scars?
Well, for me, I found hope in several places.
Mm.
I found hope in others' hope.
Hmm.
I share this story. I remember emphatically, like this woman really impacted me because I can't forget. I don't remember her name.
Mm,
She was a double amputee.
mm,
She came into physical therapy to start working on her prosthetics,
mm,
and she had on a Wonder Woman costume. And she was older. She was in our age, but like
mm-hmm,
40. She was just yay and just so excited to get on those prosthetics, and she got the prosthetics on, and it was a lot of work, and she seemed defeated, but she just kept trying, and she had on that Wonder Woman costume, and she was ready to work, and I said, well, shoot, if she's gonna work, I'm gonna work.
mm-hmm,
I could work harder because I got shot, but it could have been worse.
mm-hmm,
And my hope is that I can get better. I know I can get better. You know what I mean? Um, I found hope in my faith. I had
mm-hmm,
to lean on faith. I'm not as deep as I used to be with it, but I understood that without God, without faith in God, this wasn't going to happen.
mm-hmm,
And I prayed. I believed God, and I believed his report, as I was saying.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And his report said it wasn't unto death.
Yeah,
His report was that he was going to restore me.
yeah.
I didn't think it was going to take so long. We're still in the process. Um, but I found hope in that. I found hope in that I didn't get carried out in a body bag.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
And so I thought about what it could have been. And
Mm-hmm,
like I said, when I looked at that picture of the crime scene, if it had not been me,
mm-hmm,
I would have thought somebody died.
mm-hmm.
Period. You couldn't have told me that somebody survived that. It was a lot of blood.
Mm. Wow.
It was a pool of blood. It was a lot. I lost a lot of blood just that night at the scene of the crime. So understanding that I could have been dead, maybe should have been dead, um, but I wasn't dead, meant that I had a 99.9% chance of getting better, you know? And I just kept pushing, kept trying to stay positive, feel when I felt, cry
Mm-hmm.
when I cried, mad when I got mad. Um, only problem is I damage people sometimes.
Mm,
Yeah. And but desiring to grow from it, desiring to be better,
mm-hmm,
desiring to and not just physically, just overall. Because I think such trauma really show you what you're made of, good, bad, good, and ugly.
mm,
And I got to experience all of that. I got to see all of that. And I decided I wanted to be better all the way around.
mm.
So so that's what I'm in the process of doing, being better all the way around. Um,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So I say that when you have your scars, just remember how you got them.
Mm-hmm.
Just focus on that you survived.
Yeah.
What you have gone through, a lot of people didn't survive it.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, spiritually, in no way. Some people still alive but didn't come back. I experienced all of that. Just not almost like just like people would not understand just how much I understand the streets and how I understand how people will make rash decisions based on revenge and things of that nature. And yeah, something else that I to think about is immediately, immediately in the hospital when I come to, was thinking about what I was going to do, how I was going to handle
Mm,
it. And I remember T.D. Jakes did an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and he said that forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you.
hmm
Because if you harbor all that anger and all that frustration, it's gonna make you sick. It's gonna
hmm
make you incapable of getting better. It's gonna hinder you from moving forward while they going about their life. And literally, that man that shot me was in Florida on the beach. He was on vacation. He was out with his family and friends. He was just doing what he wanted to do.
mm,
So I could have got all angry and mad, but only person I would have been hindering is me. So I made a decision in the hospital that I wasn't going to give no energy towards that. I was going to put my energy in getting better. I
yeah.
was going to put my energy in being able to get up out that bed, first of all, because I was in it for so long.
hmm
And then and once I don't know if you know, but if you lay in the bed too long, your body don't know what to do.
Yeah,
You
atrophy can
supposed
happen.
to learn
Yeah,
how to work.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so I had to like relearn how to walk for a minute. Then once I got my coupons, they couldn't stop. I started running because
Mm.
I would get up out the hospital. So I'm like, y'all worry about me. Hey, I can run. Let me show you what I can do. Let's go. You know.
Yeah.
So so it just was that desire to just have to be better, have better, and stop sitting at home. Ooh, I don't know how to sit still. So that was hard.
I just wanted to take this time to memorialize this day, this 8th year anniversary, so that you can look back on this and go, man, this is where I was 8 years in my life.
Hmm.
Look at God where I am 15 years later,
Hmm.
because sometimes we have to memorialize things to testify about the goodness of our creator and testify about, what God has done for us. And this quote I heard is something that I think if we can embrace is not seeing our scars as reminders of our pain, but
Hmm.
seeing them as proof that grace still works.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
what I said.
we have a inside joke about the Clark sisters, but the Renda Clark said, I'm still here, and it's by
Mhm.
the grace of God.
Yeah.
And I think so many times, one of the things I just try to make sure that people who may have experienced loss or may have experienced death don't
Mhm.
feel like, well, where was God at for me? This person made it, but my child didn't make it. This person survived, but my husband didn't make it, wherever it may be. And we are all graced differently.
Mhm.
We're all graced differently. And, survival is not always about just staying alive. It's about how you learn to live again. There are
Yeah.
people who have survived, but literally have not learned how to live again.
Mhm.
And so, what I'm so grateful is that you can testify about how that healing for you is still processing physically, emotionally, spiritually. And here we are 8 years later, and your testimony reminds us all that transformation begins where trauma meets faith.
Mhm.
And that faith wasn't only in God, but it was faith in your own ability that with God, all things are possible.
Absolutely. One of my
Um,
scriptures.
Listen, as we wrap up this podcast interview, we talked about 8 years ago how my friend Antoine survived the shooting that changed his life forever. And today, he shares that journey with us from pain to purpose. We talked about many times in our conversation about those nights of questioning, but then also the power of faith and how the path of recovery has led you to renewed hope. And it is my hope that through this conversation that listeners would have heard about how you discovered about how you would live your life in forgiveness and resilience and what it really means to live a life that is anchored in grace. And so, my friends, I want to invite you to just share any last words that you may have with our listening audience.
I would just say, just always remember that um, today is today, but if you keep breathing, you have a tomorrow, and live to get to tomorrow. And if you focus on just living to get to tomorrow and doing the work that's necessary, you're gonna always have an outcome that you're gonna be able to smile about at some point. I think that for me, I realized that helping others and giving of what I can give to help others uh, makes me feel good and makes me understand that if I don't have a defined purpose,
Yeah,
then that moment of sharing I have a purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, I want to thank you all for joining us for this special edition of the Salt Talk with Jermaine Alberty. I want you to stay tuned for more episodes to come. And just know, listen, you can make it. You can make it, and you're not alone. And what I'm so grateful for is that when I listen to the Golden Girls theme song, "Thank you for being a friend,"
Yeah.
that speaks of me and Antoine Roston. So listen, stay tuned for another episode of Salt Talk with Jermaine Alberty.